that my reptilian brain like literally feels like it's hacking these women.
Here on my channel, we've spent a great deal of time exploring the vast depths of YouTube, discovering a plethora of dark content along the way. But when it comes to other video sharing platforms, there is one in particular that I have yet to fully dive into, despite it quickly becoming one of the most popular social media sites in the world. TikTok currently homes over 689 million active monthly users, a number that is poised to grow even larger as time goes on, as it's captured the attention of the younger generation. At the moment, the overwhelming majority of the users on TikTok are currently below the age of 30, a statistic that doesn't even fully paint the picture, as according to a report in late 2020, TikTok had revealed that over a third of its users in the United States were below the age of 14, despite that being the minimum age for signing up. It's clearly beloved by millions of kids all across the world. But where there are children, there will always be those waiting to prey on them. We've seen it already before, most infamously when a user named the Bidet rose through its ranks before being exposed for attempting to groom underage girls, having been caught sending lewd videos to multiple minors. In the years since, Buddy has become the most well-known predator in TikTok's short history, but he's far from the only one. In fact, as I speak, there is another user lurking on the site, following in his footsteps, and to make the whole situation even more disturbing, it's a man that has graced this channel once already. Before we get too far into this, I want to first thank today's sponsor, Wicked Clothes, an apparel company who, through sponsoring this video, has not only made this financially possible for me to do, but thanks to our partnership, I'll be donating a portion of the proceeds to RAIN, a charity that helps survivors of sexual assault, along with much more. Wicked Clothes is an online apparel company that caters to those like us who are interested in the darker side of our world. Across their site, you'll find hundreds of unique, eye-catching designs, all with elements of darkness and humor, and with products ranging from hoodies to t-shirts, all the way to pop sockets and even dog collars. They really have something for everyone. And it isn't just the designs that are so great, as the materials used are also incredibly comfortable, and the prints are made to last. So I would definitely recommend heading over to wickedclothes.com, and if you do decide to purchase anything, you can follow the link in the description or visit wickedclothes.com/Nick, and you'll receive 10% off your order.
Hi. I like you. I like her. I like you. Happy New Year. What's your name? What's your name? Huh? What's your name?
The Downtown LA Predator, the now notorious nickname for a man named Dan Silly. And if you think that name says a lot about who he is, what's even more telling is who gave it to him, as he wasn't just dubbed this across the web. Instead, he came up with the nickname himself, and he wears it proudly. Dan would leave his mark on the city of Los Angeles, as he'd spend the vast majority of his time roaming the streets, accosting every and any woman that would cross his path, gaining him infamy in the area as a person to avoid at all costs, specifically for women. But it wasn't just LA that he would leave his mark on. In fact, this channel has forever been changed because of him, as he'd be the inspiration for and the first page discussed in YouTube's darkest channels. Throughout his page that simply went by Dan Silly, he would document his journey of trying to pick up women, with tactics that ranged from incredibly cringy to straight up harassment.
Why are you ignoring me? Why exactly are you being tired of being sexualized? Isn't it good to be valued for something?
His approach was always creepy, with most ending up with the women he accosts being very uncomfortable, leading some to call the police and even to run away. And for most of these women, you could see a genuine fear in their eyes, as Dan was clearly unhinged, never taking no for an answer. And as it turns out, they had good reason to be afraid. Throughout his channel, he would have moments where he would open up about his feelings on women and society, at one point saying that America had become too safe for women.
In this place, the place is too safe with police. In other countries, it's way less safe. In order to get a bodyguard man, that will protect you, you need to be a good woman. You need to act well. But in here the women don't need to act well, so therefore they're disgusting.
But by far, one of the most chilling moments captured came when he would admit that he believed consent was just a myth.
Why not?
Because we don't give you consent.
You don't have to. I mean, I don't need consent. Right? That's a myth.
It was no wonder why people, including Dan himself, referred to him as a predator, as his actions and his personal beliefs made him someone that honestly should be feared. I mean, he wants the world to be less safe for women. He wants them more vulnerable. And couple this with the fact that he doesn't believe in consent and has a clear obsession with sex. Well, it's a melting pot of disturbing ideology that made me seriously question what this man would and could be capable of doing. And I figured it was only a matter of time that he would actually do the unthinkable, an idea that he even mentioned as something that he thought of often.
Because I literally do feel like freaking like destroying these women when I accost them. My reptilian brain literally feels like attacking these women. Like just strangling them and stuff, honestly. And making them submit to me. I feel like these women, seriously, you know?
It was all concerning enough, but things would be further escalated to a whole other level once you start to realize that many of the girls Dan would approach were just that, girls, young girls. And even when Dan would clearly know that they were in fact underaged, it never stopped him.
Are you 18 years old? You're not? Sorry. I don't want to touch you because... Sorry. Or do you want to touch me? It's okay if you... Sorry. I love you.
Dan Silly is a lot of things. A creep, an incel, a predator, and, most importantly, a registered sex offender, currently listed as a high risk to reoffend, something that made this whole channel just that much darker. It would be revealed that Dan had been arrested for inappropriately filming and accosting a 15-year-old girl, filming her backside and posting it to YouTube, despite knowing that she wasn't of age. But even after all this information came out, Dan was still allowed to openly post on his channel, continuing his wave of disturbing content, even garnering over 2,000 subscribers, with many of whom being legitimate fans of him, his beliefs, and his actions. The situation and the page as a whole was extremely concerning, and by the time I had covered Dan's channel, he would further plummet off the deep end, posting videos about how he locked eyes with a 15-year-old girl, along with even more disturbing uploads of him fantasizing about minors. And as my investigation ended, I was left unsure of what would happen to not only him, but the Dan Silly channel as well, as YouTube's guidelines have been rapidly changing to protect kids on the site. And you would think that a registered sex offender openly discussing how attractive he found literal children wouldn't be allowed. However, his channel would actually remain live and active for months following that video, and it wouldn't be until over half a year later, on the 13th of February 2021, that Dan's channel would finally be terminated. With YouTube free of this blatant predator, it seemed that Dan would fall off the internet for good, as months would seemingly pass with no news on his whereabouts. But the other day, out of morbid curiosity, I decided to look around and see if there's been any updates surrounding Dan, half expecting him to have landed in prison by now. Though instead, what I found was far more disheartening, as much to my surprise, he had quietly made his return to the online landscape, this time setting his sights on the kid-ridden platform, TikTok. Yes, the site literally full of minors is now being frequented by Dan Silly, an idea that's made even more terrifying as he's continued posting his bizarre ramblings there. Only this time, he's been even more upfront about his thoughts and his feelings.
Okay, everyone needs to get married and to a virgin girl who's underage and produce as many babies as naturally are produced as a result of having sex.
It's shocking, even for him, admitting that his key to happiness is sleeping with literal children, as he believes every girl should be married and reproducing by the age of 14. And every man, regardless of how much older they may be, should be pursuing relationships and marriage with these 14-year-old girls, the age that he believes they are most pure. And if you just couple this with some of his older content, it seems very clear that Dan is out there actively looking for a 14-year-old girl for himself. And it's important to remember that this isn't some kind of elaborate troll. This wasn't made as a joke. This is Dan's legitimate mindset. In fact, he's so serious about this lifestyle of dating and marrying young girls that he's actively trying to start his own cult-like community with like-minded people.
Because we're building a healthy and happy community. This is the start of us building a healthy and happy community.
On his LinkedIn, he says, "I need help to build a Disneyland-like, polygamous, maximally reproductive, gated community. The community will emphasize teen marriage. It should be within Nevada because the age of consent is 16 there." And his delusional ramblings would go on from there, further proving how disconnected Dan really is. And it's this man who is now on an app full of underaged children, while openly looking for an underaged girl for himself, for him to date and for him to marry, leading one to wonder if he went to TikTok for the sole purpose of finding young girls to groom, as surely he would at least be somewhat aware of the age demographics on the site. But though his potential motive for joining TikTok may seem extremely malicious, it's unfortunately impossible to just assume his intentions. And besides, maybe he just joined the platform because he had been shunned off of YouTube. Maybe. Or maybe not. Upon the deletion of Dan's initial channel, he would make his return to the site just a few weeks later, being overlooked and unnoticed by most. It's a channel that I only became aware of a few weeks ago, and literally just a few days after I found it, YouTube would step in and remove the page before I could download its contents. But to give you a recap of what I saw, Dan had posted a video expressing his desire for meeting a girl around the age of 12, dating her and becoming acclimated to her family, while building a relationship throughout the next 2 years, before he would eventually ask the girl's parents for her hand in marriage. And in this clip, he literally described how he would groom not only a young girl, but her parents as well, essentially manipulating everyone involved into allowing him to marry this hypothetical child. It was honestly sickening, but it wasn't even the worst one, as there was one more video that immediately stood out, to the point that I couldn't help but save it just in case, with its title being, "Let's Get TikTok Famous and Attract Underage Virgin Girls."
Make this video because I want to make videos on TikTok, and I want to make, obviously, be successful, and I want them to go viral and famous, so that I personally, because from my own desire, obviously the reason why I want to become famous is for a reason. I mean, not just to make money, but to become seen in the eyes of girls, of underage girls, virgin underage girls who watch TikTok, because a lot of teenagers are on TikTok as compared to Facebook or YouTube.
In the clip, Dan tells us how he wants to gain a following on TikTok because he knows it's full of minors. And once he becomes famous, he then wants to use that fame and power in order to meet these girls and eventually marry one of them.
We want to appeal to that demographic, and we want to become famous so that there's for me at least, there's an underage virgin girl who I can marry.
Dan is literally openly admitting in this video that he is looking for young girls to groom on TikTok. He wants to find them, appeal to them, and groom them to marry. And this is from his own mouth. He's not even trying to hide any of this, even admitting that this is the only reason he was joining TikTok in the first place.
All I care about is getting the attention of underage girls who are healthy.
Dan's intent at this point isn't even speculation. We know why he's here, which makes this account perhaps the most dangerous that I've ever come across. A sex offender who doesn't believe in consent, and who is now actively searching for a 14-year-old wife on TikTok, and talking about it as if there's nothing wrong with these desires, believing in it so much that he's trying to start his own community around the idea of legalized pedophilia. And though he comes off as an obvious creep, and it seems that no one would ever fall for this, he's already said that he's willing to make any type of content necessary to make his dream a reality.
So I'll do whatever it takes to combine different memes or different songs, popular music, into our videos and do parodies or whatever every single day to just optimize and try different videos, be creative in different ways, and keep trying and trying.
And in reality, all it takes is one child to buy in for a life to be forever changed for the worse. And we all know that when we were 12, 13, 14 years old, we didn't always make the best decisions. And for many of us, that's the most vulnerable and easily manipulated time in all of our lives, making the idea of Dan actually finding a minor willing to date him something that, unfortunately, is a real possibility, especially if he's able to grow a following on TikTok. Dan Silly is and will continue to be a danger to society, and though law enforcement is certainly aware of his online behavior, it seems they won't be stepping in until, God forbid, one day he crosses that line, an idea that is anything but far-fetched. So for now, I think our best option is to try and limit his online presence, to essentially stop him before he's able to successfully find a minor. So if you believe this account poses a legitimate threat to the young girls across TikTok, then please report him and let TikTok know. Though, as evidence from the removal of his YouTube channel, Dan's TikTok page being banned likely won't be the end of him, as he always seems to find a way back. So for now, keep an eye out for him, and any new accounts that he may make in the future, not just on TikTok but all across the web, and report them if you feel like they pose a legitimate threat. And also, let me know too, whether it be on Twitter or through my email, as I want to make sure his online behavior isn't going unchecked and unnoticed, because the moment we take our eyes off of him could be the moment that he finally snaps. I want to give a big thank you again to Wicked Clothes for making content like this financially possible, as well as, of course, my amazing patrons, Ali Farmer, Bazoo42, Benny Grayzones, Karen S., Donovan Aaron, Game Gamer, J Money, Just Ali, Kaylee Kilcrease, Lacey, Mark PH, Nathan Backus, Quinn Kiwi, Robert Rubito, Sam Lutfi, Skelly, Sub to Micro O, The Deck of Cards, Unblended Korchnoi, and Zinsu Sensei.